Good evening, everyone. Mic check. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you all hear me? Okay. Perfect. So let's give it 10 minutes and see if more people will join.
But there's no one.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this second session of AI Basics. And what we're going to cover today is prompt engineering and how to write good prompts. I hope you're all safe and sound in your homes, given what has happened today. Let's see. Can you all see my screen? Perfect.
Yes, we can see it.
So let us begin. And also, as I go on, please feel free to unmute your mics if you have any questions concerning what we're doing. So let's start. So what we're going to cover today is these 4 questions, which one is what is prompt engineering, how to write queries correctly, how to we're going to look at some sample prompts and the techniques that they have used, and also try to understand what is context size in when you're using an AI. So I'm sure you've heard the term prompt engineering quite a lot. And I think I covered this in the previous session where I was talking about asking a prompt of an AI. So there's a way you do it, which is kind of generalized. However, to get the best results for whatever context it is you're trying to explore, there's another way. I'm going to show you how to do it, but much better to get the most out of an LLM. So a prompt is a command, a question, or an instruction that you as a user provides to an AI, and from that command you expect to receive a specific answer. It should be concise, it should be clear, and should be specific. By concise, I mean, avoid keywords like please or exclamation marks, or anything else that you add towards a prompt that is not really necessary, because at the end of the day you have to remember that you are talking to a machine and not a human being, so performance will really be just the same. So if you ask a prompt a bad question, it will also give you a bad answer. So let's get to it and see what this actually looks like. So these are the examples of prompts. Very simple stuff, pretty much straightforward. What did Nikola Tesla invent? Basically here you're using a prompt like a search engine, and it will actually give you results if you choose to use it that way. Of course, that is for the tasks that are not deemed complex. It will still give you a pretty much good answer. So bad prompts are those that are unclear, and when you use a bad prompt to query an LLM, for example, ChatGPT, this is what now leads to things like hallucinations. It will try to guess what you're asking it. Sometimes it doesn't know how to say that I am not capable of giving you an answer for this. So what it will try to do is actually give you an answer, and that also leads to now hallucinations. So for example, when you just ask it, tell me something, you see that is a very random and clear prompt. And you look at the results, it says, sure, did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood? See, a very random answer. So now we need to learn how to write better prompts to improve upon how we usually try to prompt an LLM. And this is actually extensive to the point that it is a course on its own. There are people who actually have careers as prompt engineers, because when you get very good at it, you're able to achieve very complex tasks. And to get there, you get deeper into prompt engineering, how to write better prompts. and you can form a career out of it. It's one of the new careers that has come up with the advent of AI. There are prompt engineers out there making very good money just because they know how to prompt an AI. Because some companies may use AI extensively for a certain purpose, and you see, at the end of the day, what they want is not a techie or an experienced engineer. It's someone who can actually do good prompts to get the utmost results out of an AI for one reason or another. So a prompt usually includes a description of a context, asking it your questions or any other additional instructions. So those are the three parts where you give it a context, ask it a question, and add any additional instructions. For example, towards my right, you can see this is such a prompt. So the context here in this question is, imagine you're a tour guide in Rome telling a group of tourists about a Colosseum. Describe its history, architecture, and what events took place. Now that is a question. The first part was the context. Now the additional instruction, use a friendly tone and include interesting facts up to 8 sentences. Now you see, this is very different from if I had said, imagine you're a tour guide in Rome, describe its history, architecture, and what events took place. You'll get very different results if you look at both of them. So a good prompt should comprise of a context, a question, and additional instructions. So for example, here is one, what can we see in Spain? Answer in one sentence. So this one has, number one, a question, and it also has an additional instruction. So this is when you want a short answer. So the aim of a prompt at the end of the day is to receive the result that you're actually looking for. So you have to be, depending on what you're doing, you have actually to understand the context of the situation. So for example, so give the, what's this? Now this is a question. Give the chatbot guidance so it understands you correctly. In the example, tell me something. We received a random answer. Sure, we did. We correct the chat with additional instructions. So this is improving upon the first prompt that we gave it. So you say, tell me something about the undersea lottery and the role Octopi play in it. So it gives you a very good answer when you now start to improve on your prompt. It's not random anymore. So just like in a conversation with a person, the chat also remembers context. I think I mentioned this in the last class, is it carries on your history. So even if I do start maybe a new chat and I ask it something about 12 days ago that we discussed about, or a follow-up, assuming I have so many chats in ChatGPT. So it will look like something like this. Let me just demonstrate it a little bit. So when you look here towards my left, so I have a number of chats. So assuming I was talking about something okay, this is coding, like cover letter draft. So if I do start a new chat and ask about this cover letter draft, or do a follow-up about the cover letter, it's actually going to give me a result that I want, because it tracks your history, it remembers your conversation. So maybe speaking code-wise, if you are maybe dealing with some certain code, for example, let me just open this chart. It's a lot, but you see this section here, this thing called a reference number. That is the name of a column in an Excel sheet. So if I were to start a new chart and I refer back to reference number and I tell it, okay, I want to do this and this with the reference number, it's going to remember this conversation that we had maybe 4 weeks ago, and there was an issue with the reference number, and it's going to continue based on that reference number. So that is how powerful an LLM can be in terms of its capability with retaining past history. Sorry, you'll forgive me a bit. I have a bit of a cold today. So my throat is a bit rough at the moment. So how do we write prompts? What's this? Okay, so how do you write prompts the right way? So generative AI is a generator, a text generator. You have what we call an image generator like Midjourney. You have a video generator like Runway. And when you're using these generators or AIs or LLMs, as we call them, resources are very scarce. Remember what I said about tokens. So if you actually want to get the most out of your LLM without wasting your tokens, you best think how to structure your prompt. You have to give it detailed context and clear instructions so that you produce the best results the first time. So if you're using especially free versions, you don't want to start prompting it again and again on the same thing because your tokens will run out, especially if you're dealing with image and video content creation and you're working with free versions and what you're doing is heavy. You want to do a prompt right. You'd rather take time to do that prompt right the first time and get the closest results that you can to what you are actually aiming to achieve rather than just starting and then you keep prompting it. You'll get there halfway and you still don't have your image or your video, whatever you have is very lackluster. So AI systems are trained to follow instructions. That is where you need to provide detailed instructions regarding number one, style, tone, and format. Sometimes you can even give it examples of what you want or how you want it to sound like. So this is what a prompt will look like. Just a moment. Wait, does anyone have any questions before I dive now into prompt generation? So just feel free to unmute your mic. Okay, so let me go on. So this is the typical structure of a prompt. You have a context, which is an optional format. You don't need it sometimes. Sometimes you can use it to improve your results. You give it instructions or a question or a task. That's the second part of a prompt. You can give it input data. You can give it conditions or parameters that it should stick to, and you can even give it examples. And you can give it the guidelines, the format, tone, or style of how you want the output data to look like. For example, the first part of this sentence, I need help translating a text from French to English. Please translate the following in English. Then you give it the data. And the last part, translates creatively, not literally, preserve the meaning. So the first part is the context. The second part is the task. The third part in this situation is the input data that you wanted to convert. And the last part, which is very important, is a guideline. So translate creatively, not literally, preserve the meaning of this translation. So if I had just given it this one line and told it translate to English, let's see how that actually looks like. So I need help translating a text from French to English. Context. Please translate the following in English. Task. That word, which is French. So that is the input data, and the output data. This is the last part. You're giving it parameters on how you want the output data to look like. You're telling it translate creatively, not literally. Preserve the meaning, not the words. So let's look at it. So it says it can be creatively translated as you can't make progress without some sacrifice. And then it explains this captures the essence of a French proverb, meaning that achieving something worthwhile often requires giving up or breaking something along the way. So let's see, what if I just told it on a new chart, translate to English. See, now that is different. It says you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. See, you're getting very different results. Both answers can be right, but depending on what you want. So this, it has translated it literally, not creatively. So when you look at the previous one, have I shut it down? Yeah, I have, sorry. So if you look at the previous one, the prompt was translate it, but creatively. So this is the literal translation. So if you want to translate something creatively, you tell it so, assuming you're using it maybe in an essay or a write-up or some research paper. So this is what it actually means. You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. But has it preserved the meaning? Let's explore. You can't make progress without some sacrifices. So yes, it has preserved the meaning, but it has not used the same words. Those are two different sentences, but same meaning. So that is how much a difference how you structure your prompt can make. Another example, a query about the origin of names in a Bible. So the first part is the context. I'm researching people's name in a creative and imaginative way. Help me decipher the origins of the following names that interest me: Daniel, Lisa, John, and Gabriel. Then you give it an example. Daniel means God is my judge. Present the results in a table, name, comma, comment. So let's look at that. Oh, and as you look at the results, this last part here, present the results in a table, name and comment. This is something I use on a regular, especially if I want to take this data from ChatGPT to Excel. I tell it whatever you give me in this format, in a columnar format, so that I can put this data into an Excel document. So it will give it to me in a table format to make sure that everything is arranged as I want it. So this is also a very good thing to add. If you want to scrape that data, you can ask it to represent it in form of a table so that you can copy paste it into an Excel sheet or a CSV, depending on what you want to do. So this is a very good prompt. Let's try and do it a little bit differently. Let me just take this first part and see what it will tell me. So I've asked it to give me the meaning of the following names: Daniel, Lisa, John, and Gabriel. So this does not have the context. It does not have parameters. It does not have an example. So as you see, the results are not really exactly the same. So here, the first one, Daniel, it has given you the meaning. So God is my judge. I guess because that is a standard, that is the actual name meaning. But however, it's given me extra stuff that I do not need. It's given me notes, it's given me forms and cousins. The same with the rest here. See, these last two parts are totally unnecessary. So when you're structuring your prompt, that is why you tell it something like this: put the results in a table. I want just the name and the comment. So you see, it makes all the difference, because now if it's like this, it's pretty much straightforward, it's concise, I've gotten what I want. But if it's like this, that is story mingi. So you get lost, and a simple task such as getting the meaning of names starts to look quite challenging. So that is one way to structure your prompt. Always remember to add parameters so that you limit what it's attempting to do. If not, it will go all the way and give you so much stuff that is very redundant for your research or for whatever it is you wanted to do with that information. So this is still on another example. I teach mathematics for 5th grade. We are currently on the lesson, so this is the context about prime numbers and factoring into prime factors. Come up with 3 exercise problems. That is the task. Arrange them in order of difficulty from easiest to hardest. Each one should have a title, description, and correct answer. So you see these last two parts. These last two parts are very important when it comes to engineering your prompts. Is as much as you've asked it for a task and you're given it a context, how do you want your answer to look like? So we have told it to arrange it in the order of difficulty from the easiest to the hardest, so that if this is an assignment you want to teach to students, it just doesn't give you random mathematical problems where you start from the hardest to the easiest. You want to progress from easiest to hard. Each one should have a title, description, and the correct answer. Very important addition as well. If this person had stopped at the 3rd place, maybe there would have been no answer to the questions, or a description, or even a title. So let's see what that will look like in this case. So it has arranged it from the easiest to the hardest. You have your description, which is circle the prime numbers in the list below, and you have the answers. That's a pretty neat prompt. It's very clean. So let's do it the way I'd normally have done it before. I attempted to do it in a more, more structured manner. So for example, let's say come up with 3, just this first part here. And I tell it, I'm a teacher, I teach mathematics. We are currently on the lesson of factoring prime numbers. Come up with 3 exercise problems. Yeah, so look at this. So it gives you problems, does not arrange them in order of difficulty. You as a teacher might know, sometimes you might not know what is difficult and what is not. So as you look at this, you can see a pretty clear difference on how it is arranged. You want your results, you want whatever you're doing to look like this, very easy to understand, right? So that, where is that box? Oh, it's not here because I'm not the one who prompted this, but so you have something like this, easier to understand. It has been organized well. You have the answer, you have the description to that. What about the others? Gives you prime or composite. Circle whether each number is a prime or composite number. Factor trees, etc. You have your 3 questions. And even when you look at the answers here, I'm not really sure if these are the answers. Oh yeah, these are the answers, but it's not well arranged. It's not a method I'd use. So I'd want it to look more like this. Let me just move that. I'd want it to look more like this, something more structured, something more clear. That is because of these last 2 sentences here. That way I know the first question here is an easy question. And the last question here is a hard one, this one here. So this is a neat way to do it. It's well structured, easy to understand, and you get straight to the point. It makes your work easier. So as you go through the document, you'll start to see more examples on that. I won't go through all the examples, but feel free to go through them during your free time. So I'd like to open the room for questions. So far, does anyone have questions? Please feel free to unmute your mic if you have any questions. So let's take a 10-minute break. What's the time now? 21:04. So at 9:14, let us resume. Okay, let's begin. So before we go to the next session, does anyone have any questions? Now is the time to ask. Okay, so let's begin. So think of ChatGPT as your smart assistant. It's as an assistant. It does not know anything about you. So the reason why when we started the session, we talked about context is so that you can make it know just enough about you so that it can give you an answer that is very much like what you yourself as a person wants, that is unique to a situation. So when I say by give it context, what I mean is, for example, look at this prompt here. It says, I am an IT entrepreneur. I want to launch a new product that automates the analysis of Excel documents. So this is good context. So whatever answer it gives you, it will give you in form of what an IT entrepreneur would want. However, if I said something like if I change the context a little bit, maybe I say I'm an IT expert. I want to launch the new product that automates the analysis of Excel documents. See, those two are very different. And you'll find that the context of that now starts to change. You say you're an IT expert. This one says you're an IT entrepreneur. So let's try and explore that further and see how context adds to the quality of your output. So you'd find that most time when you're doing most of the times when you're doing this prompting, most of us usually miss that first part, the context part of it, and it actually makes quite a huge difference. So let us just try and replicate this and change the context just a little bit. So here I said I'm an IT entrepreneur, but what if I am an accounting entrepreneur? I want to launch a new product and everything else remains the same. So can you see the screens, both of them? I hope they're clear.
Yes, you can see.
Okay. Now, when you look at the results, they're not exactly the same. So here it says I'm an IT entrepreneur and I want to do one or two things. Here I said I'm an accounting entrepreneur. So you'd see that the company name ideas is different compared to the other one. The product names are also quite different compared to the other one, just because I changed one thing. So depending on the context, you get different results. In this situation, I can't say one is superior to the other, but I think because I changed it to an accounting entrepreneur, this gives me more out of ChatGPT. Because as an accounting entrepreneur, even when you look at the lingo, the things it's talking about is what is expected for someone who is in the accounting field. So it's things that you actually understand because you have the domain knowledge. And it gives you more. It gives you even tips. Want me to narrow to a top 3 combo, blah, blah, blah. Let me say yes. So this is the power of context. Change one little thing in your context. Forget even about the task and the parameters towards the end. That very first part where I said, I am an accounting entrepreneur. And you look at what it has actually given you is quite more compared to when I told it I am an IT entrepreneur. So these products are based around accounting. These products are based around IT, but for Excel. So that is the main difference when you look at these two ideas. So for example, here I said I'm an accounting entrepreneur. What if I said, let me start a new chat, and I told it I am a marketing. See, it's different. We don't have time to go through the very details of what it is giving us, but it's also slightly different from when I told it I'm an accounting entrepreneur. I'm sure if you go deep to the things that it's giving you, it will be more related towards a marketing startup. So for example, let's just look at something here. I don't know what any of these things mean because company name ideas, okay. Product line frameworks, pick one style, action verbs. So I think this is concerning the naming, ready-made pairing, still on the naming, tagline status, turn message sheets into trusted insights, blah, blah, blah. And if I interrogate it more, it will actually give me a business idea. So when you're doing context, when you're doing a good prompt, always remember to add a little bit of context to your prompt, because you see, we are using this exact same prompt, but we're just changing one word. And all through, we are getting very different answers depending on what you put there. So this said, I'm an accounting entrepreneur. What if we told it, assume you are an accounting entrepreneur with 10 years experience. Let's put it in a new prompt and then see. I want you to launch a new that automates. I want you to create a company and all right, let's see the difference. So the first one was, I am an accounting entrepreneur. Now this, I'm telling it, assume you, ChatGPT, are an accounting entrepreneur with 10 years experience. I want you to launch a new product that automates, etc., etc. Now, when I look at it, it's almost similar to what we had initially, but it has a little bit more than before. So where was that prompt? I think, let me just do it here so that we can have it side by side. So let's change this to, instead of 10 years, let's say 30. Yeah, so as you can see for both lines, so this says I am an accounting entrepreneur. This says assume you're an accounting entrepreneur with 30 years experience. As you can see, still different results. Whatever is quality between the two really depends on the domain knowledge that you have. So as you can see, totally different results from this other one. So that is the very essence of prompt engineering. When you get the context right, everything else is going to flow. So it is important whenever you're doing complex kind of work to get your prompt right. And you start by getting your prompt right by giving it the very correct context. So you have to explore the kind of context that you want to give it. And then we have analogy-based prompts. For example, banana is more than yellow. So this is basically like a puzzle where you can give ChatGPT. This is more of a fun stuff. You can give ChatGPT some form of puzzle and it gives you the answer. So that is one of them. Same here. This is continuation of a list. Give me a few more garden flowers like this. So where you remember when we said that in our prompt you can have examples. So you give it examples and then it gives you continuation of that list. So it might spot a pattern if there's a pattern to your prompt. So for example, if I give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I tell it, give me 5 more lines. Obviously, it's going to give you 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that is something it's able to do. It's able to create tables. I think we saw that earlier. So this is one of my most favorite, where we just it's better to do it in a practical sense. So with this, I like some input. So let's do a little bit of practical. Let's say you want to buy something, two things, MacBook and what is it? Windows laptop. So let's see how that will look like. So let's give it context. I'll say, I am a Power BI engineer. I use Python a lot work. I want to buy a MacBook or a Windows based laptop. Here the pros and cons of each in your table. At the end, advise the best one. Then let's give it a parameter also. Price is a major factor. Let's say I live in Kenya. Give me a few options and links to the laptops I can buy based on your recommendation after weighing the pros and cons. So what do we have here? We have context, we have a task, we have instructions, and we have parameters. So I've told it the things that I care about. I've told it how the output should look like. Did I say put it in a table? Oh, I didn't. Just a moment. I think I forgot that. Oh, I did. All right, so I've told it the things I care about. I care about the price. This is what I do. I want the pros and cons of owning each. Suggest the things that I could buy and also give me a link to where I could buy these things. So I wonder if this is going to be a long one. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at what's given us. So we have a table based on the context that I gave it. So look at this table. So number one area, Power BI desktop. In Windows, it is supported, it's native. One click, install all features. It's not a native app. You must use Power BI web service already. I don't like that. Python setup, excellent. etc, blah, blah, blah. Also excellent. That is balance, virtualizations. This is another concept. It's not needed in a Windows laptop. It's needed here. So that is also a lot of work. Many models lets you upgrade. So here you can only buy enough upfront when it comes to upgradability of your laptop. But with Windows, you can upgrade as time goes by. Price in Kenya, better value for your money. If you spend 90,000 to 250, obviously it does not know of refurbished laptops. I'm thinking it has looked at what do we have official stores for new laptops, but still a good point. You get better value for money if you're going for Windows because the specs you get are higher for that same amount of money. Slightly pricier for MacBooks, where you'd spend around 200 Gs for a laptop of 150,000 in Windows, the other side. Battery life is good. MacBook often, yeah, that's true. Varies by brand. Okay, ports often more varied, fewer legacy ports, so it might not have the old ports that you usually use. Local system, it's a broad choice. Local, yeah. So see, it's given me what I actually want. So this is very helpful for me, given that context. The reason why I said I'm a Power BI engineer is because I use it a lot in my work. So if I were given the choice to upgrade my laptop, I can't just go, the first thing in my head that should click should not be a MacBook, because if I buy a MacBook with the kind of work that I do, it's going to give me a lot of problems. So bottom line, if Power BI desktop is core to your daily work, buy a Windows laptop. It's practical, lowest cost, it's hassle-free. That is very true. And Microsoft confirms Power BI desktop is Windows only. That is also true. So this is the recommendation, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if these links actually work. They do. So it's expensive, a laptop for 285 Gs, but yeah, it works. So it has even given you the links on where you can buy these laptops. And maybe more final advice, because price is a major factor, use Power BI and Python, pick Windows among the options of BioVac go with. Let's see what this is. ChatGPT will go with this. Not my liking, but it's pretty good. Price ndio your bei ndio mbaya. So yeah, so that is just an example of how ChatGPT works. If you give it a very good prompt, this is very helpful, especially if it's something like something new to you, it's something you're not used to. This kind of information, the way it is arranged, the information because you've given it the correct context, you've told it to put it in a table, you've said the kind of work you do, and what you want are the pros and the cons. So I've given it the context that I want. So based on that context, it has given me these results. Furthermore, it went ahead to give me options of where I can buy these laptops. Of course, I wouldn't, I know where to get the laptops, but I just wanted to demonstrate that it can actually pull links from the web to direct you towards a certain page. So what I'm curious about is if I loaded ChatGPT in Google, will it give me the same links to these shops? Because I know they're usually arranged in some kind of way. If you were to Google it, the first options might not be this. So that's something to look at later. Anyway, and it also goes ahead to give you the final advice. So this is a well-structured prompt. So let's see how I could have butchered this prompt. Let's say I want to compare the pros and cons of each in a table. Let me just take that singular part. See, results are very different. So I've just looked at these results just for a minute, and I can see if I'm looking at these results, I actually can't tell which is best for me because I didn't give it the context. So it's not steering me towards a certain direction. So based on the work I do, for example, if I was doing research a lot, I would actually tell it that this is what I do. So you give it context and it gives you it gives you what you're actually looking for. It gives you the best answer that it possibly could. And also, do you remember me saying that sometimes it tends to remember your history? Because in a previous chat, I said I use Power BI a lot. Now, when you look at this section here, what is it mentioning? Power BI. That's because it is remembering what I had asked it before. But because my prompt is poor, the results are not the same. It doesn't give me much towards a certain direction, right or left. So it says pick MacBook if you value brand quality, smooth Unix like environment, and you don't need to, and all that stuff. So yeah, so what prompt would I go with? Of course, it will be this, the one with context. So till there, do you have a question?
Yes, Mwalimu, I have a question.
Yes, ask.
Does the length of a prompt determine the quality of the AI outcome?
Yes, it does. It can either add to the outcome or remove from the outcome. So when you're talking about length, you need to structure your prompt better. When it comes to prompt, especially when you're doing complicated stuff, let's say video content creation, and you want to prompt it, what you generally do, instead of giving it one long prompt, it's best to split it into digestible parts, because that is one aspect of AI use that actually takes a lot of time and a number of prompts. So instead of giving it one long prompt, you can be sure that it's going to make a mistake at some point. So learn to bundle up your prompts and split them into digestible parts, or we call them steps. So you have your step one, give it the prompt for step one. Maybe you want it to, I'm not a video content creation expert, but I'd say maybe you want to advise on how to change it from format A to format B, and that is a major step. So what you do, give it an exact, concise prompt on that, instead of giving it the entire prompt the first time, where you say, change the format, edit this and that, etc. is going to make a mistake. However, that is when your prompt is long and the work that you're doing is complex. But as you have seen in this example, the work I'm doing is not complex. It's really just a straightforward internet search. So that is why we gave it one prompt, but it gave us very good quality. But if I were to go into another subject, one that requires quite a lot of research, I'd split my prompt for better results. Have I answered your question, Kenneth?
Yes, noted.
Okay. So our way. Seems I've lost my place. Let me look for it. And then we have this is also a very good one. In fact, when you're doing long prompts, I'd advise to start with this. It's called Ask Clarifying Questions. This is where you ask ChatGPT to ask you what it needs. For example, let's do one example. What this means. So asking clarifying questions, this is what it means. So when you don't know what context you'd like to do something, for example, I want to buy a MacBook or a Windows laptop. Ask me clarifying questions, and when I answer, give me the best choice. Now let's look at that. So this is also another shortcut to engineering good prompts, where you tell the AI, you ask me the questions I should ask you. And after I answer them, pick or give me a certain result. So for example, answer this and I'll pick the best machine for you. Give me your budget. Give me the apps that you use, your Python ML needs, give me the screen weight, battery versus performance, the RAM that you're looking for, the ports, and all that. So if I answer these questions, it will actually give me a very good answer or a very good result. So clarifying questions is a technique that I use a lot, especially when I don't know the direction that I want to go to, especially when it comes to maybe things like analysis. Just rather than doing general analysis, I'd ask it to ask me what it needs. If I answer those questions, it gives me a different result. So clarifying questions. Oh, okay. So you can also use ChatGPT for fact checking. That is when you suspect there's misinformation or manipulation, false claim, or distortion of facts. Most likely because ChatGPT has been trained on works that are on the internet. So if you feel like maybe you're a lecturer, you're marking some work, and someone has referenced a book. Of course, you don't have the book and you don't have the time. You can actually ask ChatGPT to fact check if what they're saying is correct, and it will even give you the exact page where that claim came from and whether this is correct. So that is one way of using ChatGPT. You can ask it fact-checking questions. As more examples. So I'm hurrying because of time. I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. So ChatGPT can also create an entire plan for you. It can check routes and destinations. This is a very easy one. And it's also quite a fun one. I've used it before. Let's say you're planning a trip to Mombasa. So what you're going to ask it is, yes, here, I am planning a trip. So help trip, ask clarifying question. Help with thorough itinerary. So you can use it as a planner. I wish we had time to go through all this. So Instead of the clarifying question, let me just give it specifics. I'm traveling on 17th November. 3 people, one child, 1 week in Mombasa. Budget 100,000. Mode of transport SGR. Give links for BNBs in Mombasa. Plan this in a table. And include fun things. Do that 1 week. So ideally, if we had time, we'd answer all these clarifying questions for a better output. But because of that, I've just tried to use the best to minimize it as best as I can, and let's see what it gives us. Stop thinking. Let's see. So LLMs are this crazy powerful. So if this is what it can do with how many sentences, this is just 2 or 3 sentences, but I can see from what it is doing here, it's actually doing quite a lot. And I'm guessing the output is going to be thorough and very extensive, and it's going to do your homework for you. So instead of you going one by one, looking for resources, looking for all that, let's see what it does. So perfect. Here's a 1 week family friendly plan. Blah, blah, blah. I kept the total to 100,000 and included the Airbnb options. Now, as I look at this, I'm already seeing links. I'm already seeing a 7-day plan. So let's look at the first part. SGR tickets, buy on the Kenya Railways official site. So if this is information you did not know before, now you know. Morning and afternoon express operate daily, book economy to save. So that's true. Let's see. It has actually taken me to the right place where I can book for my trip. Number 2, family friendly Airbnbs. We have Nyali, Bamburi, Mtwapa. Examples you can open now. All right, let's try one.
I'm not seeing your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me just sharing. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
Or before you, no one was seeing my screen before. Sorry for that. So at what point did the screen disappear so that I can go over it again? Bamburi. Yeah, so it's helping me as a personal assistant to plan my trips. It has made my homework very easy in that planning. And number 2, as you can see, it's actually giving me the names of BNBs I can look at, given that I told it I have a child. So let's see. Nyali family friendly, and it says yeah, family friendly, because I'd mentioned that there's a child as well. So it will look for family friendly sites for me. So I don't have to do that homework myself. It has given me a snapshot of the budget. If I'm to spend 6,000 to 9,000 night for a 2-bedroom, what do I get 42 to 63,000 and all that. I have the budget. I have a 7-day itinerary. Here is where I book my tickets on the 17th. So I'm supposed to book it, of course, before that date. On 18th, I can go to Hala Park. In the afternoon, I can go here. And it's actually giving me the costs where it can. For example, here, Mombasa Go-Kart, it says it's budget friendly. Tamarind, though, Jetty, Stroll, there's no cost. Entry is 2,000, I'm imagining, and local transit is 800. So it's given me a very well broken down budget for the trip. So I don't have to do guesswork. Fort Jesus, typical ballpark, adults 550, children 300. Very nice. So I already know how much I'm going to spend if I were to go there. Mombasa and Marine Park, it's telling me book from a reputable operator. You can't just go and you can't just show up. So let's see, it's even giving me the link. As it opens, beach day on day 21, it tells me Bamburi Nature Trails, it's free by day. Optional, you can, in the afternoon, you can go to the Mamba Village. You can have a home cooked dinner at the Airbnb. Entries and transport. This day I will spend around 4,000 for the entire family. Beach day is free, of course. Seafood dinner, it's broken this down very nicely for me. And it's given me the budget. And in some instances, it's told me the prices that I'm going to pay when I go to that place, and so that you're not surprised when you get there. And it's also told me the places that are free. So the more well thought out your prompt is, the more you can get out of an AI. And this is actually a very powerful feature. So yeah, those are the entry fees. Yeah, it's true. So those are the entry fees. So I think this is actually quite impressive. If it can plan an entire trip for you, you just spend 5 minutes to write a very good prompt. Say how many you are, the kinds of entertainment you'd like, the budget, what kind of transport you want to use, the dates, where you want to look for. You want 10 options for Airbnbs in Nyali. It will give you 10 options, 10 best options for Airbnbs in Nyali. And you can also say, I want an Airbnb with a swimming pool in Nyali. So give me the 10 best options that fit that criteria. And it gives you that all in one prompt, and you get the most out of it. And as a bonus, you get a budget. Oh, there's also this part I didn't see. So it's a helpful booking prices references. So Hala Park, you have to pay. National museums, you have to pay. Mombasa National Park, you have to pay. And it's telling you where you're paying it. eCitizen, this one is giving you the info to book and all that. SGR, it's giving you where you're going to book your tickets as well. What I still need. So it's telling you, it's asking you clarifying questions. What I still need, quick yes or no. Answers are fine. Airbnb choice, exact SGR class. Do you want economy? The child's age to estimate the SGR fare. Any dietary needs that you have, etc, etc, and you see is a list of sources. At the side, when you click it, you see the sources that it has used. So that is actually a very good use of ChatGPT. Up to there, any questions, guys? You see, it operates better than, yes, Anthony?
I wanted to ask a question. I was not in the first class.
Mm-hmm.
Does it apply in other LLMs like Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot?
Oh, yes, it
Only-
does. It does.
Okay, and then question number,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
That's
Can
all
you give
gone.
us image generators or video generators prompts? Or
That
it's
is
in another class?
That is in our next class, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's go on. So also one thing I should say is Remember, this is an introductory class to prompt engineering. However, there is an actual course for prompt engineering that you're going to offer. So this is the power of a prompt. So we can go deeper into it to see what amazing things you can make an LLM do for you and how you can actually turn this into a money generating source. So it can create a vacation plan. It can write emails. I'm sure some of you have done this with the ChatGPT, also Copilot. Put this info in a table. We have seen in practice how to do that, right? Let's see what this is. I think this is slightly different. So this is when you tell it, you just ask, you'll write a prompt to tell it to put that info in a table, which is something we have seen, we have done when we put the vacation plans into a table. So number one, do not use chat like Google. So Google and an LLM are two different things. So when you're talking to a chatbot, you talk to it like how you'd speak to a human being. Do not use it as an internet search or an engine. Write the queries that explain the situation in detail. So that is when you're giving context. Request a solution to the problem at the end of every query. So when you ask a question, you ask how you want your output to look like, or when you give it more instructions or more clarifying questions. You can also prompt it with an image that is like ChatGPT. So when you give it an image, you can ask it what it is, and it will tell you what it is. You can take a picture, upload it, and ask it something about the picture, and it will actually give you more info. So for the remaining part, this is for visualization with Excel data. We won't go through this at the moment. This is using for website creation of a website. At a creation of an app, it has done it at a go. You just copy paste the code if you're a coder and you use it, and it will actually work on your local machine. Context size. So this is what we were talking about, the amount of text when you're talking about a prompt. When I asked, remember, break your prompt into digestible portions. So that is if your prompt is long. So if you give it a long context size, it will sometimes it tends to forget the beginning of the message. So it's going to leave out a lot. So don't give it too much context or too much in terms of text. It won't digest all of it. Just break it into parts. So I'd like to conclude the class. I see it's already time, but this resource is available online on when you sign in to we call it LMS, your study portal. You'll see this PowerPoint. Please feel free to go through it. Yes, Brian.
Hi, Ronald.
Hi, Brian.
So, okay, I'm having issues with my student portal.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I've signed in, Apachini here down, it's bringing for me all initiatives coming soon. It's not opening to the exact one. Don't know why.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think you can side chat us on WhatsApp. Then I can look at your the issue on a personal level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with the end of the class, does anyone have any questions? The recording, of course, will be available by tomorrow morning. You should find it under today's topic. Thank you for attending the class. Feel free to drop off, but if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask. Okay, see you in our next class. I think that should be on Tuesday next week. So till then, stay safe and remember what you've learned today. However, it was just an overview. but we can go much deeper in future classes if you join us sometime in the future. So a good prompt can make a very big difference in your output. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being such amazing students. See you next week. Have a lovely, long weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome, guys. Be safe. Stay safe out there.
I've just want to ask one question.
Mhm.
When will we start our exams, and it will be conducted in which place actually?
Exams, the date will be communicated in the group, but it will be conducted online.
So we have to pay for the exam, or so that we may be ready for it, or how,
So
or
the
what will
exam,
what will be?
the exam is free, but certification is what you pay for.
Thank you. And that's, for the certificate itachukua how long do it? Okay, ukilipia, for example, ukilipia after exam or siku gani?
So certificates is usually given to everybody at the same time. So that is after the payment deadline. So after deadline ya kulipa ikisha, tuna issue certificates to everyone at the same time. To those that have paid for the certificates, that is. So all this will be communicated once we are done with our final class.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So just look at the group text messages. This will be communicated by Joy. You'll see sometime next week after the class.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye bye, guys.